Endgames are considered the most difficult part of a chess game. We all saw the videos on how to play a Philidor position or how to make a bridge. But those specific positions happen maybe in less than 1% of the games. It's more useful, in my opinion at least, to learn how to play real chess endgames, based on actual games, on positions that can actually happen in your games. This is the game between a legendary German grandmaster Siegbert TARRASCH, playing white, and Edmund Thorold, a British grandmaster. Let's look at this position. Material is the same, two rooks and a knight against two rooks and a knight, and 5 pawns each. White is slightly better. Why? They have much more active rooks, which is crucial in the endgames, and they have quicker access to an isolated black pawn on a square d4. Then black have to an isolated pawn on a square d3. Tarrasch plays a rook e1. White double downs the rook and would like to infiltrate into black's position. If they went rook e7 immediately, then rook d7 stops their idea of penetrating into the 7th rank. So they play rook e1. Rook e8, black tried to prevent the penetration into their position with this move. Exchange of the rooks on e8, and now if black takes the rook with the rook, rook takes e8, then after rook takes e8, knight takes e8, the white knight jumps to a square b3 or f3 and grabs the pawn on d4, white will have an extra pawn. Therefore, knight takes e8. Rook e7. This move paralyzes black position. The knight cannot move as it has to defend the pawn g7, and the rook has to stay in the 8th rank to defend the knight. a6 and knight b3, attacking the d4 using tactics. b6 and now knight takes d4. Simple tactics because after rook takes d4, rook takes the knight with the check, and after the king goes to c7, the white is pawn up, and Tarrasch retreats to e3 to protect an extra pawn. If he went greedy and played, let's say, rook e7 check, after king d6, rook takes g7, rook takes d3, rook takes h7, rook d1 check, king f2 check, king f3, rook takes b2, the pawn on a2 will fall, and the pawns on a6 and b6 will be marching towards the queen, and black will have some chances to draw this position. Therefore, rook e3 is the practical move to defend the pawn. King d7, king goes to center of the board, king f2, g6, rook h3. These moves attack the pawn on h7 and forces it to advance, weakening the g-pawn. h5, king e3. This move accomplishes a great deal. The king protects the pawn, now freeing the rook for active duty. The king brought closer to the center, another big principle in endgames, and black rook, the blockader of a white passing pawn, is under attack and has to retreat, and the pass pawn will be able to advance. The rook has to retreat, and the white passing pawn marches forward. Rook e6 check, king d3, rook e1, an attempt to get behind white pawns, rook g3, and now the black rook has to retreat to defend the g6 pawn. If they play active, let's say rook b2, then white can go king c2, protect the pawn on b2, attack the rook on b1, and with the next move, grab the pawn on g6. Therefore, rook d6 protecting the pawn on g6. Rook e3 offer an exchange of the rooks, as the pawn endgame will be an easy win for the white with an extra pawn. Black declines the offer, rook d6, rook e5, and rook f6. Again, black rook wants to get into the second rank to attack white pawns. Tarrasch starts to move his pawns away from the second rank, where they could be captured by the black rook. Rook still goes to f2, attacking the pawn on g2. And rook e2. The hostile black rook must be evicted immediately. Rook goes back to f6, b4, rook f1 with another attempt to attack white pawns from behind, rook e5, and rook f2. Black rook persists on trying to penetrate into the white's second rank. This move, rook g5, combines defending the g2 pawn and attacking the g6 pawn. Rook f6, protecting the pawn. If rook went to b2 to attack the pawn on b4, then king c3, again protecting the pawn, attacking the rook, and with the next move, rook will take the pawn on g6 and white will have two extra pawns. Therefore, rook f6. h3, that's a patient move. An immediate d5 in this position would be met by a very annoying move, rook f4. Not only attacking white pawns, but also cutting the white king. King d6, king e4, check, and rook e5, again offering the exchange of the rooks. Rook goes to f6, and now the passing pawn marches forward, d5. King d7, as black really don't have that many choices where to move. If they played rook f2 in this position, then again rook g5, protecting the pawn and attacking the pawn on g6. King d7, rook g5, that clears the square e5 for the king and also prepares the transfer of the white rook to the f file to threat an exchange of the rooks that will drive the opposing rook off the open file. King d6, according to the plan, rook g3, king e7, rook f3. And now again, if black exchanges the rooks, white will easily win a pawn endgame. So they go rook d6. The black rook had to leave the open file. King e5, threatening tactics, we're starting with the move rook f7, which will lead again to a pawn endgame. Rook goes back to d6, but still d6 check. And if black captures the pawn, let's say rook takes d6, then again rook f7, check. King takes f7, king takes d6, and the white king is much closer to black pawns. The king is gonna grab them, and A and B white pawns will be promoted to a queen. Therefore, in this position, black cannot take the pawn. Go king d7, rook f7 check, king c8. Now here, interesting point that if king c6, then rook c7 is a checkmate. So king goes to c8, rook c7 check, and a rook goes back to c2, and it will be used to penetrate into white's position, into black's position, from the e file. Check, king f6, b5, d7, the passing pawn marches forward, rook goes to h7, and king e7, now threatening to promote the pawn. Another check, king goes away to d6, rook h8, and the final move of the game, rook e2. Black resigned as rook e8 is inevitable. For example, rook d8 for black, rook goes to e8. The king is cut off, it cannot go and protect the black rook, so the black will either lose the rook on d8 or after taking, white will simply queen. So in this position, black resigned.